From tea to haunted crockery?
Welcome back to Teatime Tales. This week we're heading back to Gen 8 and catching up with a brew. Our guest this week is Polteageist. You're probably thinking, Hatter, you've almost had 10 episodes, how come you're only just inviting this Pokemon over now? Well, much like all good things, including good tea, all things must require the proper time to brew. Right then, without further ado, let's begin with this week's name breakdown.
Polteageist is likely a combination of the words poltergeist, which is a type of spirit that's capable of moving objects, and tea. I hopefully don't need to explain what tea is. Its name in other languages actually have quite the dark similarities in terms of theme. Its German name, Mortipot, actually translates from mors, the Latin word for death, tea, and pot. Its Japanese name, Potodesu, actually has a double meaning, as its name breaks down from pot and death, and rather funnily, also translates to it's a pot.
Now don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a good strong cup of tea, however I do want to be around long enough to enjoy it.
Polteageist's physical appearance is heavily based on an antique teapot, which our guest has possessed and called its home. However, a poltergeist is only made when a spirit has happened across a teapot with some tea left inside.
Now that might explain why our home hasn't become haunted yet. I mean, there's rarely a drop of tea left over for the pot to become haunted.
Our guest also shares some similarities with two other mythological beings, the first being genies, heavily popularised by films like Aladdin, where the genie inhabits a lamp. The lamp isn't too dissimilar to a teapot, I might add, and the other comparisons are Japanese yokai spirits called Morinji no Okama and Narigama, which both take the form of a kettle. No, not that kind of kettle, you silly Billy, I mean ones like this.
Well, as an avid fan of tea, I can't help but wondering what an exceedingly old brew of tea would taste like. Well,
in fact, according to its Violet Pokedex entry, the flavour of the tea, though risky to drink, is said to be delicious, and that gourmets who have no sense of fear drink our guest's tea day after day. Although, that being said, it is worth noting that should our guest become angered, it will spit hot tea at you, and if swallowed, will cause you to have chills.
Well, now I know the tea's drinkable at the very least, you're probably thinking, what does it actually taste like? Well, that's a caveat I'm going to be investigating in today's segment. A segment that I'm going to call Trial by Tea.
Just a quick subject to clear up before we go to the topic of taste. Our guest here actually has two different forms, phony form and antique form.
But there's no discernible difference, I hear you cry. Au contraire, my delightful guest. There is a difference. You just have to know where to look.
The real difference truly lies at our guest's base. Do you notice the little mark on the one on the right? That there is the sign of an antique poltergeist. Think of it like an authentication mark.
This actually translates to real-life antiques in some cases, where the only real way to know if something is genuine or not is if there's an actual marker or some form of the other unique identifier.
Take actual antique teapots for example. English and European pieces often feature specific date letters, silversmith initials and other assorted symbols. Not too dissimilar to the mark here in the case of antique form Polteageist.
But back to the topic of taste. Does the form difference influence the taste of the tea?
No, is the short answer. In fact, what influences the taste of Polteageist tea flavour is what tea was in the pot before the Polteageist inhabited it.
And coincidentally, depending on the tea that formed our guest, it actually influences its temperament. Quite a unique characteristic.
Quick side note, referencing its Scarlet Pokedex entry, but while the tea that composes our guest's body does have a distinct and enjoyable flavour, it's not recommended that you drink too much as it can be fatal.
Am I going to be okay? Well, I think it's high time that we relax, pour ourselves a delicious brew, and have a look at some of the great arts in this week's Card Breakdown.
First up, from Sword and Shield base set, we have this wonderfully charming illustration by Shin Nakasawa. I love the sheer casualness of the backdrop. Polteageist is just hanging out by a modern kitchen counter while checking out this humble abode. But the best detail? Take a look at the first attack name, Teatime. I think it's safe to say that this card is an absolute must for a channel like ours. Next up, we head over to Obsidian Flames with this gorgeous artwork illustrated by Megumi Mizutani. The lighting here is absolutely immaculate. Our guest is curiously stretching its arms out of the pot inside what looks to be a grand, sun-drenched tea room. Also, In a beautiful bit of continuity, look at its first attack name, Antique Collecting. It perfectly ties together everything we've explored today. And finally, to round things off, we shift into a magnificent explosion of colour with the Sword and Shield era promo, beautifully brought to life by Misa Tsutsui. The whimsical energy levels of this card are just off the charts. Polteageist is practically diving out of its teapot, framed by a stunning, vibrant bed of flowers. TCG players may remember this card more for its infamous Mad Party deck era, but as a pure piece of art, my goodness, it's an absolute masterpiece.
And that's all on Polteageist. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Teatime Tale. If you enjoyed what you saw and heard and want to see more, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss it for when a new guest joins me for tea. And if you want to see more videos done by myself, do check out some of my other works here. Until the next time, have a blessed day, and do stop by again.
What's that, Slowpoke? Quick, hurry.
Polteageist, wait! Slowpoke just gave me the heads up. You haven't got a place to go, have you? No, this just won't do. Slowpoke and I have been talking, and why don't you stay here with us? Well, that's settled then. Welcome to the team, Polteageist.